would like to ask you a question, all of you, anybody can answer. Which is bigger in India, rigid packaging, rigid plastic packaging, or flexible packaging? And which is bigger in the world, rigid plastic packaging or flexible packaging? Anybody?
Rigid packaging.
Are you talking
Which
about
are
square
the
meters?
higher growth rate? Rigid packaging or flexible packaging?
Flexible packaging.
Okay, we'll see the numbers as we go through the presentation. This is a slightly technical presentation, but technology is with us. Here in Uttarakhand, we are all discussing the Doppler radar after what has happened. So technology has to be close to the heart. So these are some technology trends in rigid packaging, which is downsizing, downgauging, downweighting, and resulting from this cost reduction. Active and intelligent packaging, where the pack interacts with the product and the consumer in some intelligent way. Nesting and stacking, reuse, recycling. Part of this has already been mentioned. Now, here I'm coming to the global trends in rigid and semi-rigid packaging. The continued growth of PET bottles in water, carbonated soft drinks, and fruit juices. Emergence of portable PP bottles for aseptic packaging of milk. Growth of PP shake jars for health powders. Continued growth of Tetra Paks for aseptic packaging of milk and fruit juice. They have just inaugurated their second factory in India. Emergence of tabletop Tetra Paks with caps for 1 liter aseptic packaging of fruit juice. So now the bigger packs of Tetra Pak are coming. Greater awareness of food safety. Growth of cold forming blister. Emergence of new generation medical device packaging such as asthma relief inhaler and the diabetic pen, which have created great excitement. Now, if you look at the different segments of rigid packaging, metal container, overall market is stagnant at $100 billion, growing at 2%. The main end users are carbonated soft drinks, beer, juices, energy drinks, food products, deodorants in the form of aerosols, paints, polishes, construction chemicals, and agrochemicals. And out of this, the main growth area is carbonated soft drinks, beer, and paints. In fact, the construction industry supports the metal container industry. Growth is due to the emerging markets and localization of production centers out of US and Europe, in China, in the Middle East, and in Eastern Europe. And the main trends are right sizing and downweighting of CSD cans. If you take a Coca-Cola can, you will find that it is necked in at the top. And the reason why it is necked in at the top, besides certain strength parameters, is also it reduces the easy open end size and reduces the cost. 2-piece cans, choice between steel and aluminium, so you can switch depending on the price. Faster can production and filling, and then you make these cans which are stackable, and you have seen the multi-packs of the Coke cans. So these are the trends in the metal container market, growth mere 2%. Glass packaging. Market is stagnant, 40 billion US globally, and growing at under 2%. This is the slowest growth area of packaging. And the main markets, China is the biggest market in the world for glass packaging, followed by USA, France. France is there because of wine, Italy. Growth markets are Russia, Eastern Europe, Middle East, and India. And in India, it's the beer bottle. Beer bottle used as cheaper option compared to beer can, leading to shift to cans in the aspirational segment. Cosmetics glass packaging viewed as premium with sparkle, frosting, and various shape styles. Beer bottles becoming thin-walled and down-weighted, with bottle weight reducing by 25 to 40%. And reuse of glass bottles and high filling speeds remaining the major attractions of glass packaging. So wherever you can send it out and get it back, and you can reuse the glass bottle in your filling lines, it still is a very cost-effective option. And glass is wholly recyclable. That is one of the major advantages. Glass production across the globe is highly concentrated, with Owens and St. Gobain's being the two major manufacturers. Even in India, with Hindustan National Glass, is highly concentrated. Now we come to rigid plastic packaging. These are the kinds of materials that you see: polyethylene, polyester, PP, polystyrene, expanded polystyrene, PVC. And other materials going with that are polyamides, polycarbonates, PEN, EVOH, PVDC, PU foam, and bioplastics. The market size, big, 150 billion, 22% of the world packaging market. bottles, jars, trays, tubs, pots, pails, thin wall containers, rigid plastic tubes and their closures. Technology developments are barrier solutions through single layer blends. That means you can build in, along with PET, you can put in a polyamide in a single layer PET so that you get higher barrier, multi-layer co-extrusions and barrier coating. And we can see this being done even in India. The Kisan tomato ketchup is the multi-layer co-extrusion. Hot filling is now possible in plastic packaging, and aseptic cold filling is also possible. The growth rate is high, 6.5% CAGR, and the main growth focus is the PET bottle, the single as well as the multi-layer. The market size of the PET bottle is $35 billion. A 500 ml PET water bottle has been downweighted from 24 grams to 10 grams. Of course, Mr. Sharma mentioned that when it is flimsy, you think it's poor quality, but with the 10 gram, there is a certain element of flimsiness. And as you try to open, the water probably spills out. And 50% of the PET bottles are recycled. That's very interesting. It's amongst packaging, probably one of the very high percentages of recycling. Because metal and glass are recycled to a larger extent, but PET is being recycled to a fairly significant extent. Bioplastics in rigid packaging, PLA derived from renewable sources such as cornstarch, tapioca starch, and sugarcane. PLA is both biodegradable and compostable. PLA degrades within 60 days in industrial composting and 180 days in home composting. Degradation can take up to 2 years in landfills. The rate of degradation depends on humidity, temperature, and airflow. One thing one must remember about composting is that composting is a controlled environment and requires a lot of real estate. So it is easier said than done. So that person in Gurgaon who was selling those compostable bags, the question is where do you take it, who collects it, and who composts it? That's the main problem. Okay. The main applications in packaging of PLA for trays and cups. Under cold forming, PLA can be as competitive as PET. So if you can make shallow containers which are cold formed rather than deep containers which are requiring heat, you can have a pretty competitive container. PLA is used by Tesco, Sainsbury in the UK, Carrefour in France, E-Mart in Korea. Walmart is evaluating options and these are still issue days. But PLA is both biosourced and biodegradable. That's the very interesting thing about PLA. Now I come to the PET bottle, because this is probably emerging as one of the most important formats of rigid packaging. The PET bottle has become the largest format of beverage packaging. Its end uses extend from carbonated soft drinks to waters, fruit juices, teas, tonics, and in some cases beer and wine. The transformation of the PET bottle is a story of advances in bottle design, innovations in stretch blow molding processes, multi-layer co-extrusion, use of advanced materials like MXT6, deeper understanding of the end users, bottling plant automation, new generation logistics, recycling, and continuous cost reduction. How has this been done in the preforms? PET is formed in 2 stages. First there is a preform and then there is a stretch blow molding to a bottle. At the preform stage, we have gone to larger and larger multi-cavity preform production. And that has given higher output, it has reduced the energy consumption. High pressure and high speed injection for thin film. So the wall thickness has been reduced consistently. Multi-layering with co-injection for high barrier properties. Use of regrind in the central non-food contact layer for cost reduction. Use of advanced polymers like PBOH, MXT6, M9, nanocomposites, and oxygen scavengers. A typical structure of a multi-layer PET bottle could be PET, regrind PET, again PET. So central layer is the regrind. Okay, so you collect the bottle back from the consumer, you regrind it into PET and you put it in the central layer, which is a non-food contact layer. Or if you want to go with a higher barrier, PET, MXT6, regrind MXT6 PET. And this gives you very long shelf life with small percentages of MXT6. This is happening at the preform stage itself. At the stretch blow molding stage, highly accurate control on mold design, paneling of the bottles, temperature profile and crystallinity control control on orientation, and the ability to retain high gas pressures of carbonated soft drinks. So we have gone with lowering of wall thickness, lowering of bottle weight, and lowering of bottle cost, high levels of control on the stretch blow molding process. So whether you see the free-form or you see the bottle making process, there's been so much of optimization that the PET bottle is emerging as a very cost-effective form of packaging, and that clearly shows that if you reduce cost, you get growth beyond your wildest expectation. Now here this shows why MXT6 can go with PET. It's a very versatile polymer. You see the overlap between PET and MXT6, so you can co-extrude. And that's the reason why a very high barrier material can be co-extruded with PET. You can see the shelf life. The dotted line shows you the increase in shelf life, okay, as the weight percentage of MXT6 goes up. And if you go to multi-layer from monolayer, you have to use even less MXT6 and you get a better carbon dioxide retention. Now, global trends in the PET bottle. PET bottle is now being extended to hot filled applications. PET is a very unique material. It can be amorphous in nature or crystalline in nature. And these crystals are of two types, round, spherulitic, or rod-like, slightly long. There are two types of crystals which polyester has. So amorphous, round crystals, long crystals. Look at the versatility of this polymer. So if you have spherulitic crystals, they tend to reflect light. You will get an opaque bottle. Whereas if you have the rods, you will get a transparent bottle. So you could make a PET bottle opaque, transparent, or a mixture of the two, translucent. Okay, and then you control the processes so that you heat set the bottle to the desired level of crystallinity. And as you increase the crystallinity, it becomes more and more suitable for hot filling. So you go from 20% crystallinity to say 32% crystallinity, and lo and behold, you have a bottle which you have extended to fruit juice. And then it goes on to say how it becomes so versatile that we look at the neck, we look at the preform, we look at paneling, which will even withstand hydrostatic pressure during filling, where vacuums could be created. Okay, and because of this, again, we are now extending the range of PET. And then what we can do is study the product. Products which are less acidic, we can do hot filling. Products which are more acidic, we do warm filling, because the acidic products kill most of the germs inside, and just warm filling we do, which again allows you to optimize the PET bottle. And then we now are developing new bottles where we are removing the panels altogether. They become very attractive. And we see different types of labels that we can use with the PET bottles, different shapes that can be given to them. Now we come to paper and board packaging. This is the largest area of packaging. This includes corrugated. $255 billion US. Growth rate is 4.2%. It includes corrugated packaging and folding carton board, which is 60%, kraft paper 30%, wrapping paper 10%. Major consumption centers, by the way, Asia is leading in this, followed by North America and Europe. Again, high growth areas, Middle East, South America, Eastern Europe, Africa, and Asia. And in the top 25 countries, the high growth countries are Turkey, India, Poland, Brazil, Indonesia, China, Taiwan. So India has got the second highest growth. China is the second largest consuming country after USA, whereas the Indian consumption is 7 billion, China is nearly 6 times, 41 billion. And Indian consumption is growing at 12%, against China's 8.4%. And in this board, the food contact paper and board is growing very significantly at 6% CAGR. It's at 56 billion. And fresh produce will take the maximum growth in the future, followed by dry groceries, liquid foods and beverages, and chilled foods, takeaways, and ready meals will also constitute another big chunk. So the additional demand forecast will be some 7 million metric tons of paper and board from the food contact packaging. Now, the environmental friendliness of paper and board is known, but it is being increased by increasing the recycled content in paper, saving water in the paper manufacture, saving energy, freeing it up from chlorine, making it food contact, making it plastic-free barrier board, sugarcane bagasse in paper manufacture. Now this is the world packaging market. Paper and board 255 billion, 38.2%, growth 4.2. Rigid plastics follow 150 billion, 22.5%, and growth 6.5. Flexibles 85 billion, 12.7%, 4.3 is the growth. Metal 102 billion, 15.3%, 2.8 is the growth. Glass small 37 billion, 5.5, the growth is 1.8. Others include anything from jute to wood to all other formats, 5.8, 3.3. So the total world market is 668 billion, which is something like 41 lakh crores, somewhere like. You mentioned 146, that is including bulk packaging. But if you remove bulk packaging, then we are somewhere around 1 lakh crores. So 1 lakh out of 41 lakh crores. That's where we are. The 668 billion translates to that. Now this is the Indian packaging market. Paper and board 7 billion. Share is 36.8, growth 11.8. Rigid plastics, now just see this, 3.9, about half of paper and board. 20.5, but the growth 20.8%. Flexibles 2.4 billion, 12.7%, 17.3, very high growth again. Metal containers 3.6, 19% share in consumption. And lo and behold, a very high growth. This was one of the most unexpected figures I came across, and it's being mainly driven by the beverage container. Okay, and Hindustan Tin with Rexam is the company that is driving the metal container business by bringing more and more beverage cans into the country. Glass packaging, 0.8 billion, 4.2%, growth is also a little on the lower side, 7.8, and others, 1.3 billion, 6.8, 1% growth because jute and all are slowly going out. So total Indian market is 19 billion, which is roughly 1 lakh crores. The balance, 46, which you mentioned, comes from bulk packaging. And so, because in India the ratio of bulk to consumer is 40 to 60. In the more advanced countries it's 50-50. But we are not so developed in our logistics, so bulk packaging percentage is lower. So 40% is bulk, 60% is consumer. So the consumer packaging is about 1 lakh crores, bulk is about 40 lakh crores. So this is growing overall at 13.5%. So this gives you the global market, this gives you the Indian market, and I've told you the versatility of the PET bottle, why it is really leading the charge, and that's why you can see the rigid plastics grow 20.8, out of which a lot is contributed to the PET bottle. And the positive factors in the Indian packaging market, one of the major things is the availability of raw materials. We are the largest producer of milk in the world, second largest vegetable producer, third largest food producer. So definitely there's going to be growth of value-added dairy products. Nobody can stop it. There will be packaging and branding of fresh produce, more and more. And there will be growth of processed foods, which are being wasted today. And then you will have continuing the process of use to package for grain and cereal products. That will lead to a huge growth in packaging. Huge cash on marine life, so we see more of exports. When the rupee is devaluing, so marine exports will go up and there will be packaging required for marine exports. We have a large coastline, we produce a lot of salt, and inland we produce a lot of spices. So spice packaging and salt packaging will continue to grow. Linear alkyl benzene, LAB, huge quantities available for production of detergent. So detergent market will continue to grow and detergent packaging will continue to grow. And we are a very large producer of polyester, PP and P. So there is no shortage of polymeric raw materials. Modern retail is spreading. Today's newspaper says that those who sell more to modern retail have a higher profitability than those who sell less to modern retail. And lifestyle and value upgradation, the rupee devaluation leading to higher exports of FMCG goods. So packaging will follow with that, and the rack pickers collecting PET bottles and metal containers for recycling. If we can speeden up this process and give formal employment to many of these rack picking communities, we can probably increase recycling. The negative factors are the degrowth of tobacco products, socially good, but it has had a negative impact on the packaging industry. Widespread spurious manufacture, because they don't use scientific packaging. 60% of the milk is adulterated. Large unorganized sector in FMCG products who may not be open to the latest concepts in packaging. Input raw material hike due to continuous devaluation of the rupee is going to make packaging expensive. High cost of energy, and we have just doubled the gas prices from $4.2 to $8.4. So energy, coal prices are going up, so energy is going to be more and more expensive. So those of us who are not energy efficient will not be there in the future. We have very adverse climatic conditions. We have floods, we have drought, we have temperatures going up to 46, 47, and winter it could be minus 46. We are a country with 14 agroclimatic zones and enormous plastic litter in all major urban centers, which is creating public opinion against packaging. So these are the negative factors. I've already mentioned the positive factors. And success will come to those who are dedicated to the discipline of packaging. You can't do this